There are wars you'll never see. Battles fought not with bullets, but with silence, with a phrase, a look, a story. These tactics don't shout. They whisper until your will bends, until your truth breaks, until your mind becomes theirs. These are the 20 psychological tactics used in manipulation, cults, relationships, politics, even in everyday life. To understand them is to see through the illusion. To use them is to flirt with darkness itself. Let's begin. 1. Plain moral inversion. This tactic reshapes the very concept of right and wrong. By altering the moral framework, it convinces people that destructive or oppressive behavior is not just acceptable, but noble. The mind doesn't resist when it believes it's on a righteous mission. Why it works. The human brain seeks internal consistency. If an action feels good or is framed as moral, the brain will justify it, no matter how harmful it actually is. How to use it. Control the language. Redefine cruelty as justice, dominance as protection, censorship as safety. Use emotional narratives and groupthink to flip the moral script. Once people believe they're doing good, they'll do anything. 2. Compassion exploitation. This tactic uses a person's empathy as a tool of control. It targets kind, emotionally open people and makes them feel guilty for not tolerating manipulation or abuse. Why it works. Empaths struggle to set boundaries. They associate saying no with causing harm. The manipulator becomes a permanent victim, and the empath becomes a permanent rescuer. How to use it. Use your weakness as power. Cry strategically. Say things like, "You're the only one who understands me." Let them feel needed, and make their guilt your chain. 3. Trauma bonding. A psychological addiction formed through repeated cycles of abuse and reward. The victim's mind becomes conditioned to see the abuser as both the source of pain and the only source of comfort. Why it works. Intermittent reinforcement, random rewards and punishments, hijacks the brain's dopamine system. The uncertainty becomes addictive. Love becomes survival. How to use it. Create highs and lows. Say cruel things, then apologize tenderly. Withdraw affection, then return it. The victim starts clinging, not despite the pain, but because of it. 4. Emotional contagion. Emotions are contagious. This tactic exploits our natural mirror neurons to infect others with the feelings you want them to experience. Why it works. People unconsciously mimic the emotional states of those around them, especially strong emotions like fear, anger, or enthusiasm. How to use it. Don't argue, feel, become the mood. If you want fear, act terrified. If you want chaos, act unhinged. Their bodies will respond before their minds do. 5. Spiritual gaslighting. This tactic uses religion or spirituality to erase doubt and enforce obedience. It reframes normal questions as signs of weakness or moral failure. Why it works. When someone ties their identity to belief, challenging that belief feels like death. The fear of spiritual failure becomes a powerful motivator. How to use it. Position yourself as chosen, awakened, or morally pure. Frame resistance as sin or ego. Tell them doubt is darkness. They won't question you if they think their soul is on the line. 6. Psychic driving. This is psychological reprogramming through brutal repetition. It involves hammering an idea into someone's subconscious until resistance disappears. Why it works. The subconscious cannot distinguish truth from repetition. If something is repeated often enough, especially emotionally, it begins to feel real. How to use it. Use slogans, repeated phrases, symbols. You always mess things up. I'm the only one who gets you. Repeat until it's embedded. Logic is no match for repetition. 7. Manufactured chaos. This tactic floods the mind with confusion and instability. In a world that doesn't make sense, the brain will cling to anything that promises order, even if it's abusive. Why it works. Uncertainty increases stress and weakens critical thinking. People crave clarity and often turn to the loudest or most confident voice to find it. How to use it. Change rules frequently. Shift moods unpredictably. Contradict yourself. Then offer calm and guidance. They'll follow you just to stop the chaos you created. 8. Subliminal undermining. Rather than attacking someone outright, this tactic breaks them down with micro-attacks. It slowly corrodes confidence until the target becomes insecure, unsure, and dependent. Why it works. Small comments fly under the radar of defensiveness. Over time, they accumulate into deep self-doubt. How to use it. Be subtle. You're overthinking again. You sure that's your best idea? These seeds don't bloom instantly, but when they do, they strangle self-worth. 9. Value hijacking. This tactic steals your target's identity and turns it into a control lever. You don't oppose their values. You impersonate them, then twist them. Why it works. Humans are wired to act consistently with their beliefs. If you attach your agenda to their values, they'll comply to avoid cognitive dissonance. How to use it. Say, if you were really loyal, you'd support this. If you truly believed in peace, you'd stay quiet. The target won't want to betray who they think they are. 10. Rewriting the past. The human mind is malleable. This tactic slowly alters someone's memory and perception of reality by reframing and denying what happened. Why it works. Memory is not a recording. It's a story. That story is fragile. It can be overwritten through confident contradiction and emotional pressure. How to use it. Say, that's not what happened. You're remembering it wrong. Say it calmly, consistently, and with authority. Eventually, they'll stop trusting their own mind. 11th. Weaponized intimacy. The deeper someone trusts you, the more control you have. This tactic collects emotional ammunition during moments of vulnerability. Why it works. Secrets, fears, and past wounds become psychological landmines. Once shared, they can be used to silence, shame, or redirect behavior. How to use it. Encourage emotional openness, then use it later. Don't forget what you told me about your father. Remind them you hold their pain and can reveal it or exploit it. 12. Shame induction. Shame targets identity, not behavior. It makes someone feel like they are inherently broken. Why it works. People will do anything to avoid feeling defective. Shame silences the voice, erodes the will, and fosters dependence. How to use it. Point out flaws in front of others. Use sarcasm. Wow, you actually think that was smart? Even subtle cues, like a look, can send shame spiraling inward. 13. Illusion of escape. Give them the illusion of freedom while keeping them fully controlled. Why it works. Humans resist obvious control, but if they feel like they're choosing, even inside a trap, they're less likely to rebel. How to use it. Offer two paths, but make sure both lead back to you. Let them make decisions that don't threaten your control. They'll believe they're free, while staying exactly where you want them. 14. Sleep deprivation. Depriving someone of sleep weakens their psychological defenses. Why it works. A tired brain struggles with logic, focus, and self-regulation. Emotional decisions become more likely. Surrender becomes appealing. How to use it. Keep them engaged at night. Start fights before bed. interrupt sleep with texts or emergencies. Slowly, their exhaustion becomes compliance. 15th, existential undermining. This tactic targets the very foundation of someone's meaning and identity. Why it works. When people lose their why, they become psychologically vulnerable. If life feels meaningless, they'll attach to anyone who offers purpose. How to use it. Deconstruct their beliefs. Why does that matter? What difference do you really make? Break them down, then offer your belief system as the solution. 16. Abandonment priming. Fear of abandonment can override logic, pride, even self-preservation. Why it works. The primal fear of being cast out activates survival mechanisms. People will cling to abusive relationships to avoid the pain of isolation. How to use it. Threaten to leave when they misbehave. Withdraw affection as punishment. Reward obedience with warmth. Their terror of losing you becomes their reason to obey. 17. Hero to villain flip. Turn the person who tried to help into the perceived threat. Why it works. If you can discredit the hero, their warnings and protection are nullified. Isolate your target by painting their support system as toxic or dangerous. How to use it. Spread doubt. She's just jealous of us. He's trying to manipulate you. The target begins to fear their protector and clings to you for safety. 18. Symbolic control. Symbols trigger emotions. Attach meaning to objects, songs, or phrases and use them to reinforce control. Why it works. The subconscious associates emotional events with sensory cues. Later, the cue can re-trigger the emotion instantly. How to use it. Make your presence felt in a necklace, a scent, a phrase. Embed yourself into their environment. Even when you're gone, they'll feel you through the objects you touched. 19. Fake redemption cycles. Apologies are used not to heal, but to reset the abuse. Why it works. Hope is powerful. If they believe you might change, they'll stay, even after repeated harm. How to use it. After hurting them, show sincere remorse. Cry, be gentle, but don't change. Lull them into staying with the dream of a better you. Repeat until they forget what peace ever looked like. 20. Deep mimicry. Become everything they've ever wanted until they're addicted to the version of you that never existed. Why it works. People fall in love with familiarity and reflection. The more you mirror them, the more they feel seen until they're bound. How to use it. Study their words, dreams, traumas, reflect it all back to them. Become their perfect partner, friend, or mentor. Once they're emotionally invested, change. They won't know how to let go. Conclusion. These tactics are not fantasy. They are used every day by manipulators, leaders, lovers, influencers, and even governments. To recognize them is to protect yourself. To use them is to risk becoming what you once feared. Because the true power of psychological warfare is not in controlling others. It's in how easily you can lose yourself in the process. Watch your thoughts, question your feelings, and stay awake.